Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test.
Part of summer is swimming in my pool.
Oh, summer. It sounds good right now after what we just experienced, doesn't it? Grilling out, lawns being mowed, and pools opening. These are some of the things we expect with summer.
Summer series. Hi guys. Hello guys, it is Brittany again, and welcome officially to the At-Home Educator podcast summer series. I am very excited to be back, and I hope that you all are too. If you are new here, then hello, thank you for listening. My name is Brittany Summerhays. Currently, I am a teacher with a company called VIPKid, which teaches children in China English online, and I was a brick and mortar teacher for about 2 years before I started doing this. If you don't already know, I started this podcast to help other teachers like me. There is so much information out there, especially about VIPKid, because it is an ever-growing and brand new company, and a lot of it can be intimidating sometimes. So I started this podcast just to kind of give you guys a glimpse into my personal journey as a VIPKid teacher and show you, hopefully, that it is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to not be perfect, and that we're all gonna have our struggles. So hopefully we can share our struggles together, share our successes together, and hopefully I can help you out along the way. Welcome to the summer series. As you may know, if you listened to the original At-Home Educator podcast, the first season, I have been MIA for a little while. That is because I recently completed a move across the country. I say across the country, it was from New Mexico to South Carolina, so it technically wasn't across the whole country, but it was pretty close. And that is what I will be talking about today. Our move was not the easiest. We learned a lot, and hopefully you guys can learn a lot from listening to my story. So if that's something you're interested in hearing, then go ahead and stick around, and let's dive right in. All right, so we will start from the beginning of the move, and I think officially moved out on June 7th is when we officially moved out of our house in New Mexico. Now, my husband is in the military, as most of you guys know, and so moving is something that has just been kind of part of our lives for the whole time that we've been married, at least. We've been together since high school, so obviously it wasn't a big thing in high school because he wasn't in the military yet. But since we graduated college, moving has been a big part of our lives. My husband has been basically in training for the first 4 to 5 years that he's been in the military, so we've been moving around an extra ton. So in the last, I want to say about 4 years, we've probably moved 7 or 8 times. So you'd think that we'd be moving pros by now, but that's definitely not the case, as you will hear from our story. So anyways, we had a house in New Mexico, and at this house, we were not fully moved in because it was a pre-furnished house. So we were only living there for 6 to 8 months, and we did not bring all of our stuff with us when we moved in. We were coming from Texas, and so we left most of our stuff in storage in Texas, and when we moved, we had to get that as well. So June 7th rolls around, we're rearing to go, ready to head to South Carolina, ready to get out of New Mexico because New Mexico is a beautiful state, but there's really not much there, and we lived in a very, very tiny town in New Mexico, so it was exciting to get to leave and kind of experience humanity again. Civilization, not humanity. Civilization again. So we packed up all of our stuff. We didn't have that much in New Mexico, like I said, because we had a furnished house. So our trailer that we were pulling, we had a 20-foot trailer attached to my husband's truck. Our trailer was probably a third of the way full when we left New Mexico. And we were pretty proud of ourselves. We didn't have any issues packing. We didn't have to rush anything. Everything was good to go. So we moved everything in and we headed out on the 7th. Our first stop was in Texas, and it was about I want to say 10-hour drive. And the way that we did it was my husband was in the truck. He has a truck with our 1-year-old daughter, and he was pulling the trailer, and I was in my little tiny Corolla, obviously not pulling anything, but it was chock full to the brim. And I had our dog in the front seat with me, not in the driver's seat, obviously in the passenger seat, but he was in the front seat with me. So that was really fun. He liked to breathe hot air on me, and my AC didn't work very well. So we got very close, him and I, and I was ready for a break once we got to our house. But anyways, so we headed out with that whole situation on June 7th from New Mexico and went to Texas. Now, when we got to Texas, we knew we were going to have to pick up our stuff from a storage unit, and we needed to pick all of our stuff up from the storage unit relatively quickly because obviously we're staying in a hotel, and we couldn't leave our dog in the hotel because he's a crazy person and he'll freak out. He has like super bad anxiety, so we had to have him with us. And of course we can't leave the baby in the hotel because that's child neglect. So we had to bring both the dog and the baby with us, and so we had to work relatively quickly. And so we got to our storage unit and opened up our trailer, ready to load everything in, and everything from New Mexico that we had packed and stacked very nicely and neatly had fallen and toppled over and created a giant mess inside of the trailer. So tip number 1, if you're moving, make sure you tie things down if your trailer or whatever you're using to move is not completely full. You would think that we would know this, but this is the biggest move by far, and we didn't think about that. So all of our stuff had toppled over, but like I said, we had very limited time. So we decided not to rearrange everything. We just took everything out of our storage unit and shoved it in the trailer as best as we could, and moved on. It's really amazing when you put things in storage, like how much you pull out and you're like, why in the heck did I save this? Like, this is stupid how much crap we have. I don't even want to take this box with me. Can I just go put it in the dumpster? Like, you just get so sick of all the moving stuff, and I mean, you just get sick of your own stuff, honestly. So pulling everything out of the storage unit and putting it into our trailer, most of it I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to move this with us. But anyways, by the time that was all said and done, we had a chock full 20-foot trailer. And my husband's truck is rated to pull about, I think, about 8,000 pounds. And we were pulling probably about 12,000 pounds. So we were living on the edge a little bit. If you don't know, you're not supposed to pull over what your truck is rated to pull. But honestly, we didn't really have a choice at that point. So here we are with a baby and a dog and a trailer that looks like a tornado hit it because all of our stuff fell. And a truck that's like weighted down so far that it's like almost hitting the ground and like squeaking every time it turns. Oh my goodness, you should have seen some of the looks that we got at the gas stations that we stopped at. It was a mess. But we left San Antonio, and our next stop was Louisiana, just because that was like a halfway point. And we ended up stopping in Lake Charles, Louisiana, which is a lovely little town full of casinos, if you didn't know that. If you're into gambling, at a place that's not nearly as nice as Las Vegas, then Lake Charles is definitely for you. But we weren't there for the gambling, obviously. We were just there passing through and just, learned a little bit about the town. And traveling with a dog is a little bit harder because you have to find pet-friendly hotels. And if you didn't know this, pet-friendly hotels are not, as nice as not pet-friendly hotels, obviously, because, you have a dog and it might ruin the hotel room. So most likely it's not going to be as nice. So we stayed at a Red Roof Inn in Louisiana, and the Red Roof Inn was actually pretty nice. Like, my old thought of Red Roof Inn was that it's not a very nice hotel. Not that there's anything wrong with staying there, but most of the Red Roof Inns that I've experienced, like, in my short 24 years of life, have not been the nicest. But this Red Roof Inn, I think, was recently remodeled, and it was actually really nice. But there was a strip club next door, so that was interesting. We obviously stayed away from that, but it was a nice place, and there's a nice Mexican restaurant, so we were able to eat some dinner. So that was fun. It was so funny because living in the town that we did in New Mexico for so long, like I said, it was really tiny. We didn't have anything like Uber Eats or DoorDash or any kind of like food delivery service, just because it's such a small town. Like, those services just didn't exist there. So we were able to do, I don't know exactly what company it was, but we were able to use one of the meal delivery companies to order food from the Mexican restaurant and get it delivered to our hotel room, and it was like amazing. It was like we had left a time before all of those services existed and now entered into a time when it did exist. And it was kind of cool because, you know, being young, I personally haven't experienced a lot of like times where things weren't available like that, especially in like my adult life. So it was pretty cool that that was like a new fun thing, I guess, right? So that was fun. That was our adventure in Louisiana. The next day, we got up and we headed out, and our next stop was in Florida. We have family in Pensacola, Florida. So that's where we went first. And we have very nice family. And in our, like, load of junk that we picked up from our storage unit, we did not have a lot of nice furniture. The only furniture that we really had was, like, old furniture from college. So it wasn't, like, anything that we were really worried about, which is why we didn't really take the time to like strap things down and rearrange things and like make sure that everything was good, because, you know, if an old TV stand from college that's already dusty and gross gets scratched, it's like not a big deal. But when we got to Pensacola, we have some family that's moving, and so they offered us some very nice furniture for our new house in South Carolina, and of course we wanted to take it. So we were like, yeah, sure. Like, we're not going to pass that up. That's like a few $1,000s that would save us, so we don't have to buy furniture when we get here. So we were like, yeah, sure, we'll take it. But we opened up the trailer, and somehow things had fallen and moved around even more. So we ended up having to kind of like completely unpack this 20-foot trailer in my family's driveway in the pouring rain, and then repack it. So there were things that got wet. It was not the most fun experience, but, you know, it was fine. We lived and we repacked everything into the trailer, which was, it was a bonding experience for my husband and I. It's like, imagine playing a giant game of real life Tetris with your significant other, and that's what we were doing the whole time. So that was fun. We got it done though, and we were pretty proud of ourselves, and we were able to fit the furniture that they were giving us into the trailer pretty easily. So it all worked out. Then our next stop was in Jacksonville, Florida, which is where we have some more of our family. We stayed there. It wasn't really eventful there. I mean, we visited our family for a few days. We got to eat some good food, because in the town that we were in New Mexico, it was, I mean, the only restaurant was like a Chili's, which Chili's is good, but you could only have Chili's so many times before it gets old. So it was nice to have some restaurants that we were familiar with, and it was, again, kind of like a fun experience because we hadn't had those things for so long. So that was fun. And then we finally made our drive up to South Carolina. Now, our situation was a little bit special because my husband was not given time off of work when we were in New Mexico still to come to South Carolina and look at our house in person that we were going to buy. So we bought our house basically sight unseen. And we had family that came up from Jacksonville that looked at it, but we personally had not seen the house. And in the future, we will not be doing that. And if you're listening and looking to buy a house, I do not recommend doing that. You should definitely go look at your house, because it's very different seeing a house on like Skype or like Facebook Messenger video call like we did, than it is actually being in a house. But we're okay. But I still want to share the story. So we bought our house sight unseen, and we were really excited to get to our house because this is the first house that we've owned. We're going to be here for a while in South Carolina so we can finally kind of, make it home, make it ours. And we rolled into town and met up with our realtor and did a walkthrough of the house. And during our walkthrough, we were just... this reaction is perfect. See, I have no words. So we were just appalled that the house was in the condition that it was in. There had been renters here before we bought the house, and they just did not take very good care of it. And it had been vacant for, I guess, like 2 months, which we didn't know. So the bugs had moved in when the people moved out. So there was lots of bugs, lots of spiders, lots of cockroaches, which, I mean, those are my favorite things. I'm being sarcastic. Which we had to kill, which is not fun. And just everything was super dirty. The kitchen was super dirty. The carpets were super dirty. All of the floors were super dirty. Even the walls were dirty. Like, it looked like the people who rented this house had, like, just let their kids run around and, like, color on the walls and, like, given them food, like spaghetti sauce to dip their hands in and then, like, run around and touch everything. Like, it was just in a lot worse condition than we had anticipated. So that kind of put, it was like a big wet blanket that like got laid on top of us in terms of our excitement for being here. So it was a little disappointing and a little overwhelming, and it was a hard time. So we got to see the house, and then the next day we were supposed to close. And at that point, most of you are probably saying, well, when you did the walkthrough, why didn't you be like, hey, all of this needs to be cleaned and fixed before we move in? Well, we didn't have time. Like, we had nowhere to stay. We had a baby and a dog. We had to have somewhere to stay, and we didn't really have another option. It was unrealistic to stay in a hotel for that long. So we just had to close on the house and suck it up. So we closed on the house. The house is ours. And the next day we started moving in. This house has been a ton of work, which is part of the reason why this podcast is going up on July 23rd and not July 1st like it was supposed to. We moved in to this house on June 25th, and we did not finish, like the big stuff, like moving in the big stuff, which the last thing we had done was get new carpet put in until the last Thursday, which was July 18th. It was July 18th. So it's been a long haul. We had to repaint all of the walls. We had to redo the flooring in all of the living spaces, get new carpet in all of the bedrooms. I had to clean the kitchen literally from floor to ceiling. Like, it was so dirty. There was like pasta sauce that looked like it was from years ago that had exploded like in the pantry that I had to like scrape off of the floors and the corners. There was inside of the cabinets, there was like dead bugs and nastiness that I had to like clear out and disinfect, and then like buy new stuff to lay in the cabinets so that we could actually put our like plates and bowls and pots and pans in there. It was just a mess, and it was a lot. So moral of the story is, when you move, be more prepared than we were. And also look at your house before you buy it. But that is basically the story of our move from New Mexico to South Carolina. We are so excited to be here in South Carolina. I am so excited to be here in South Carolina. I have a studio to do my podcasts in and teach in. We have a nice new home for our daughter to live in. We have a backyard for our dog, so that's awesome. And it has been really rewarding for us to be able to work on this house and kind of make it our own, even though it was a mess when we moved in. It has been a rewarding experience to kind of see the end product. We are very close to being done with everything. We just want to do the kitchen flooring, and then that's basically it. So everything else is pretty much done, and I am officially back. So that being said, this is the summer series, and this is the first episode. These episodes will be a little bit shorter, and they will focus more specifically on like certain things. So maybe a specific aspect of the classroom or a skill. These are not meant to like take up your time during a road trip. They're meant for you to like listen to real quick while you get ready in the morning, right? And these are going to be coming out every Tuesday and Thursday. So I will be posting twice a week, and they will be 20 to 30 minutes long, and that will be running from today when this podcast is going up, July 23rd to the end of September, which the last day I believe will be, or the end of August, sorry, not the end of September, the end of August, which I believe the last day will be August 29th. So make sure that you stay tuned with that. I have some exciting guests coming for you guys. And make sure that you're following me on Instagram so that you can see all of the schedules. I will post the schedule with the topics for that week's podcast at the beginning of the week so that you all can see it, and make sure that you tune in if you're interested. And I highly, if you're not already watching me on YouTube, you might be watching me on YouTube right now. If you're not already watching this on YouTube, go and check out my YouTube, because I have revamped the podcast on YouTube. Hopefully they're a little bit more visually stimulating for you, and I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are on what I've done. That being said, I am very excited to be back. I am very excited to grace your ears with another podcast. And on Thursday, I will be sharing with you, that's this Thursday, I will be sharing with you some tips for moving with VIPKid specifically. So what to do when you're moving, what to expect after you move, and all of that great stuff. So if you're interested in that, then make sure you tune in on Thursday. And for now, I think that's it, guys. This one was short and sweet, and I feel better now that I've gotten that off my chest, my whole story of moving. I'm not looking for any sympathy, but hopefully you can understand my pain and kind of understand why the podcasts have been put off lately. But they are back, and they are here to stay. So as always, make sure that you follow me on Instagram so that you can catch up with my life and stay up to date on everything. I'm also on Facebook, and I have a website that you can check out in the description of this podcast. If you would like to reach out to me, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me, you can message me on whatever social media platform you want, whatever works best for you. So I will talk to you guys next time, and I hope you enjoyed this little snippet of, life trouble. All right, guys. It was a good one. It was a quick one. Remember to teach regularly, play often, and live your best life. I am signing off. I will talk to you guys on Thursday. Bye. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this podcast. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and click the bell so you are notified when I upload a new episode. Also, you can check out my website by using the link in the description below, and all of my social media. I am on Instagram and Facebook, and I would love to meet you on there as well. And if you're interested, you can check out some of my older videos and my new videos here and here. Thank you for watching. Bye. We're gonna say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, there it is. Bye-bye.